I've decided to make a response video to one of my viewers. He seems to be in doubt in regards to my views, but still seems to wonder whether I am right or not. Here's the main issue. I did, like a lot of people, a response video to the GTA 6 trailer, and knowing the state of Western gaming and how Rockstar have already showed their colors, I know this game is going to be nonsense. Even if GTA 6 isn't that bad, I'm still at the very least expecting GTA 7 to be a shit show. Even some people who are close to me said my point was unclear and sounded Uncle Ruckus-like.
さて、改めて、猿は嫌い。私に従え。
That's the main complaint. The second complaint is that I may be like the very people I criticize. So let's address the first point. Everyone has been conditioned to a certain degree to react a certain way to certain topics, and even if you've broken free of your programming, you're probably aware of how people will react and you prepare yourself to walk on eggshells. It's hard to, let's say, talk about the bad behavior of black people, especially black Americans. Here's the thing before you call me racist. I'm black. I express myself well, I work out, I'm polite, I'm well read. Therefore, a lot of the other blacks don't love me because I don't conform to the stereotype. When interacting with white people, they're often surprised by how clean-cut and no-nonsense I am. So let me tell you, I am aware Miami has a prominent black and Hispanic population. That's not the issue. The question I brought up was, is it black because that's what it is in real life, or is it black because that's how most media present it nowadays, specifically in the Western world? I think the latter is the answer, and you really have to live under a rock to not notice. And just in case you did, well, look no further than Google AI. You ask for a picture of the founding fathers, and 4 out of the 5 people present are not even men. Or let's talk about the recent Tomb Raider that I played on stream. Crystal Dynamics had to present its own socially acceptable version. They made Lara tan and of course needed a fat, diverse, handicapped woman on the cover. All boxes had to be checked. And of course, as always, black women are used to represent this terrible ideology. Pattern recognition. It's a given that at this point that the nonsense will be rampant and the examples are so flagrant that you have to be dishonest, ignorant, or hopelessly hopeful to believe otherwise. I know we're not 90-year-old women, so it's not simply a matter of not knowing. A good example of the situation would be content creator The Yellow Flash. He praised Final Fantasy for not censoring Tifa in the upcoming sequel of the remake in a community post he made. His own fanbase berated him for it. He believed that this simple step back meant a victory for us all. Behold! A couple of days later, Square goes back on its choices and censors the game by diminishing the size of her breast. People who are on the left have this habit of not going far enough. You should take notes from your enemies from time to time. The left doesn't stop until all victories have been claimed. Everyone else is just content with having a little success, so even when you gain ground, you immediately lose it. And to add insult to injury, that update patch was 8 gigs. That means that they're probably planning to censor something else. God knows what else is in that patch. For the other point now, and I quote, "As someone conditioned and trained me to look for hidden messages in everything." No, the human brain does it automatically. The issue is that people go for the extremes. In the case of racism, I've had bad experiences with a lot of black people, ergo, they're all bad. Or there's the opposite. I don't want to get called a racist, so I will cross the street when I see aggressive black people sagging their pants. However, I get mugged and beaten. People go for one or the other, but the mistake that some people, like Short Fat Otaku, do is that they assume both sides are equivalent. No, they're like your hands, similar, but the thumb is on the opposite side. One attitude will be correct most of the time, but it will be greatly unfair to a minority, which is ironic now that I think about it. Only a certain percentage within the minority is actually treated as a minority. On the other hand, you won't be a racist, but you'll probably get hurt or not survive. Here's the difference between me and the other extremes. I take time to actually look for clues as to whether something is woke or not. If I stumble upon, let's say, Thomas Sowell or Roland Fryer, they are well-dressed, well-spoken people who go against the stereotype. I observe the details. I would not cross the street. In that same vein, a piece of media having a black woman isn't woke. It's the fact that it's made by a company that has sympathies for that movement, that has diversity higher, that benefits from ESG, which is why they sympathize with it, and most importantly, actually makes the women in question unappealing. We often talk of the West, but let's not forget that there's other games out there. The Korean and Japanese market. You know, the latter that may as well be the game industry. If it's Asian and there's a woman, I don't care. Stellar Blade looks interesting. It's attracting a lot of attention. It's a woman as the lead, but they clearly don't share that ideology. Therefore, I have no issues with it. I was going to use the meme, "Who radicalized me? You did?" But I'm not radical. I'm having the logical response one would have to such events. It seems radical, but it's only because we've gone so far the other way. If we didn't, people would realize how skewed things are. It's the left that has made minorities an issue. I also had another comment about someone being on the fence. That person described themselves as LGBT. That person thought of me as a possible enemy. I am not your enemy. I do not care about you for better or worse. As a black man, I hate that we're used as a shield to deflect criticism. Hypothetically speaking, if I hit you, it's because someone pushed you in the way, not because I was aiming at you. I have no issues with people of color or any group. My worldview is that I don't have politics and I don't give a fuck about you. Leave me be. But clearly, live and let live isn't working, and if you even think about taking physical action, well, you're probably already on an FBI watch list, so I'm limited to only doing videos. After further deliberation, I've decided that this is the first and last time I comment on such issue and try to clarify what I mean. I responded to said comment and got a typical, needlessly extremely verbose response full of academia terms. Look, I don't care anymore. If you don't believe what's happening right now despite all the damning evidence, then there's no changing your mind. Outside of a couple of exceptions, I see that most people in the comment section who are trying to put it on and on are just trying to look for attention, and they're trying to drag you down in the mud. They don't mind that they're in the mud as long as you're in there with them. The window of what is acceptable has shifted so far that now there's only 3 ways to go for normal people. 1. You've been exposed to the agenda so much that you have a greater acceptance of it while not going for everything. At least for now. 2. You know it's nonsense, but are afraid to speak out, and I've spoke to these person, whether it's in the street or at stores or at work. 3. You're on the right or somewhere near, and you think that any minute loss to the left means that they're on their last leg. There's, of course, the rest, the monarchists, libertarian, anarchists, and so on and so forth. Those are fighting against the agenda, but to no avail. The thing is that ignoring them or thinking that they're done after a minor loss is not going to bring things back to normal. You need to actually acknowledge those things. I will ironically quote someone that we may not like, because in a twisted sense, what she said is true now. Everything is sexist, everything is racist, everything is homophobic, and you need to point it all out. The left has made everything a political thing. Everything is part of the agenda, and now you can't go anywhere for sanctum. You need to point it out, or we're not getting through this. And you need to point it out, but we also need to keep it out, and we also need to create our own spaces and make sure that it doesn't start again. Gatekeeping needs to be a thing. Gatekeeping was for a reason.
さて、改めて猿は嫌い。私に従え。
Hello, monkeys!
Now, if you think niggas is worthless and lazy today, oh, Lord have me, you should have seen them back in slavery days.